Hello all, welcome back to the Bray and Ethan podcast, episode number 15. It's a bit different this week, Ethan, due to us being in lockdown, but we're on Zoom this week, and who's joining us?
Yeah, a bit different. Hopefully the state of things can get back to normal. But pick 69 in the 2015 AFL draft, 9 games for Geelong between 2016 and 2019, and he was also on Port Adelaide's list in 2020. He was and still is a cult hero of the competition to many. Wylie Buzza, welcome on board. Hope you're well, mate.
Thanks for having me, fellas. It's a nice introduction. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries.
Always look after the guests. But your story is quite different to the normal players' journey to the AFL. Talk us through about growing up in Mount Garravat, I believe it is, in Queensland. I moved over to footy later on.
Mount Gravatt's a suburb in Brisbane. So I'm actually from country Queensland, rugby league heartland. So I played that until I was 16 and somehow got involved in playing a game here or there of Aussie rules and realised I actually really enjoyed it and just decided to just have a crack and play and got pretty lucky really. I was pretty shit when I started and I don't know, there's just a few, the academies up there, they give you an opportunity that, most guys don't get. So that kind of got me on the stage to get recognised, and then got lucky enough to get picked up by Geelong.
What's this story about you missing school to play footy, just like as an extra way to miss more class time?
Yeah, exactly that, mate. At that time, school, wasn't too much fun. Didn't have the balls to fully skip school. I was too scared of mum, but found every alternate way to get a day off, and this was a day off, turned into a week, and and ever since then, it was probably the best decision I've made, really. It's led to and life so far. So pretty happy with that decision.
Yeah. And as we said before, pick 69 in the 2015 draft. So the Cats, they did have to make you wait a bit. Coming from a non-AFL background, what was the build-up to the draft like as you were in Brisbane's academy? Were you prepared for it to go either way, and describe the emotions when it did come official?
Pick 69 with that draft was actually the second last pick of the night. So, and that was back when, I think they still don't have it right, but the draft night goes way too long, and it was a good few hours until it kind of got to my name. And probably typical to Geelong and every kind of player that I've played with or spoken through their time with Geelong. The only contact I had with them was a 5-minute chat with one of their recruiters in a back alley at the state combine. So it was super unofficial. He knew my name, and that was about it at the time. So it just never thought that it could be possible that I'd rock up there, considering the lengths other clubs go to in that recruiting process. I had people out in Gatton, Queensland, of all places. So when they kind of started passing, and then Geelong just randomly called out my name, it just went from like the thought of, well, I was already thinking about the rookie draft and playing NEAFL footy the next year and try my luck again. And then it just out of nowhere, I find out on national TV that, I'm about to move interstate to a really cold, what I thought at the time was a miserable place. But, what is it, 5 or 6 years later, I'm still living in Geelong. So, it was an absolute whirlwind, mate. But, happy with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you did, of course, go to the Cats. You instantly became a fan favourite, and people were loving you for your name and, of course, your locks. Did this make you feel somewhat uncomfortable that there was so much popularity around you and people hadn't yet seen you play?
Yeah, you kind of just have to go with it. I never realised how unnormal my name was probably early on. Like in school, everyone, as a kid, going through primary school, they're not realising that you've got a alternate name to the next person. So kind of as my footy career started to progress, it was getting all this extra attention, and at times you didn't want it because my footy definitely didn't didn't match the attention I was getting. So, but what could I do really about that? And so I just tried my best to embrace it. And it's given me some really nice opportunities that others don't get. So just have to roll with the punches, and ultimately it's been there's been more good out of it than bad, for sure.
What's the origin to the name? Like, what Buzza? Obviously you can't have control of the first name, but the last name.
There's no answer there, actually, mate. I've tried to look into it. I'm pretty interested in that kind of stuff. So jumping on ancestry.com and doing that DNA test and all that kind of stuff. And from what I can gather, it actually started as BUSSOW, with the OW being an us sound. So it was Buzza. Apparently, this is through my research. Definitely, don't hold me to too much account on that. But yeah, that's what I've gathered. But yeah, I don't mind it. It's not too bad at all.
Yeah. And to make things even more bizarre, not many people can say they didn't have a win or a loss in their AFL debut, but yours was in the round 15 draw against GWS in 2017. To make things even more weird, I think you were a late replacement for a former friend of the show in Dan Menzel, only 15 minutes before the game. How bizarre was this, and what do you remember from that night, as you did kick 2 goals?
Yeah, that was just like the draft experience, mate. Another whirlwind. I went from just playing VFL footy to main training 2 days earlier. Wasn't even in the squad. All of a sudden, late Thursday night, I'm in the squad. They're telling me pack my bags for Sydney, and we're going to the Gold Coast for the week after that. So I was like, how good's this, you beauty? Getting on the free trip to the Gold Coast, and then spent the day in Sydney, where my brother actually lived at the time. So spent the whole day with him, and he said, is it worth coming tonight? And I said, no, not worth it. Just an emergency, but came to before the game, and was just hanging about with another fella. Tim House was the name, a WA boy. And we were just mucking around, not thinking much of it. And then Dan Menzel comes back in 15 minutes before game time and shakes my hand and says, congratulations. I was like, is this your decision to make? Like, what's going on here? So about 20 seconds later, Chris Scott followed him down the race and shook my hand and said, you're in. And did my own little warm up on the side, and all of a sudden the game started, and I give away the first free kick of the game straight after the centre bounce clearance. So I was like, oh shit, here we go. So but yeah, no, it was a fantastic night, and debuted with a couple other young fellas, Zach Guthrie and Sam Simpson, and we had high hopes for our careers then. We were the last time that 3 debutants for Geelong. It was Jimmy Bartell, Gary Ablett, and Dave Johnson, I think. So, some pretty handy careers. We were hoping we could do something similar, but I've probably let the team down there.
That would have been still crazy though, that night, as you said, not being out, just going from emergency to straight on the field. Like you're probably on the field and thinking, am I like what's even going on?
Yeah, it just all happened so quickly, and the following week was actually up in Queensland. So I go from my debut with no family there. Like, I had a brother who lived in Sydney that I told not to come. But then I go to Brizzy next week, and that's where I'm from, essentially. And so I had a massive amount of family and friends. Lucky it's interstate games, so could get my hands on plenty of tickets. So got them all along, and that was a completely different feeling. That almost felt like my debut, and the week before was just like a bit of a dream, really. Like it didn't really happen, and all the nerves were kicking in on that day, and that was probably like that more feeling of my debut was that following week.
Yeah, and was that one a win or a loss?
No, it was a win. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, that's good.
That was,
Better than a draw.
Yeah, I did bugger all in that match and got dropped from it, but it was a win. So I got to sing the song, and it's big. Tom Lonigan's a milestone for him. So it was a special night.
Yeah, of course. Although finishing runner-up in the VFL Best and Fairest, you were delisted by the Cats at the end of 2019, but then picked up by the Power and the delisted free agency. How did this all come about, and how excited were you for a fresh opportunity?
Yeah, it's obviously I thought I was putting in solid form in the VFL. It wasn't an ideal a year for most of us in that team. We had about 5 ruckmen in that team at the time, and it just made it hard for everyone to play good footy. But we all banded together, and they built a fantastic culture in that twos system at Geelong. So I had, besides things not going the way I wanted with my career as such, I was really enjoying playing footy, and led to a pretty good season, and was hoping for some opportunities, and probably didn't fall the way I wanted to originally. But once I kind of got delisted, there was a few options on the table, and the Port Adelaide one wasn't the best decision to make, in the fact I'd have to relocate. I had a partner that I'd already dragged from Brisbane down to Geelong, but we thought that'd be the best thing for my footy. It was a team on the rise. I thought there was opportunity to try and get a game there, and so decided that was the best chance, and to establish myself. And unfortunately, things probably didn't work out, and you two sitting in lockdown now probably reminds us of what kind of got in the way for a lot of people in the last however long it's been since it all kind of kicked off. So a little bit frustrating, something that I felt a little bit out of my hands at the time. But you look back, and I still think it was the right decision. Just unfortunately, something that's never happened in forward got in the way. So.
How did you feel hard done by to only have the 1 year at Port, especially considering the circumstances with the hubs and everything that went on in 2020? And what was your role last year? Because I think originally you were sort of brought in to bolster the ruck stocks and also help guys like Charlie Dixon in the forward half.
Yeah, I wouldn't say hard done by. I had the best possible time I could at Port. It was hard to fully connect with the group with COVID protocols and training in groups of no more than 8 at a time. But I've got massive respect for that football club. They gave me a great opportunity to enjoy myself in a really shitty situation. So and I wouldn't say hard done by. They had to cut their list. Charlie Dixon had all Australian year. He's a superstar. They had Todd Marshall play a pretty injury-free year. They had Pete Laddams take the next step. So they had Mitch Georgiadis come in, another WA boy. Kind of hadn't played footy for over 12 months, came in, and he's going to be an A-grade talent. So all of a sudden, like all these things kind of happened and just squeezed out that spot. And I felt like I didn't get an opportunity to show what I had, but at the same time, when you weigh it up and be realistic, it kind of, I think it would have been nice to give me an opportunity, but I've got absolutely no hard feelings and can see how they came to the decision they did. So, yeah.
And how do you look back at your time in the system? Obviously, at 2 clubs that have been up towards the top of the ladder in the last couple of years. So what was so different about each place, and who are the guys that you learned a lot from? Because there's a couple of stars at each club.
Yeah, I feel super privileged to think that I've, I went from Geelong, who's, it's just a known fact that, they're one of the best football clubs in every aspect on and off field. So I felt like my development in those 4 years was the best chance to turn me into the player that I am. I got to learn off genuine A graders. So names that will go down in history as some of the best to ever lace up the boots. You know, you're talking Tom Hawkins, Harry Taylor, Gary Ablett, Andrew Mackey, Tom Lonergan, Jimmy Bartell, Corey Enright. Like, you know, these names are just
Dangerfield as well.
Dangerfield, Joel Selwood.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I rattled off nearly
Yeah.
10 and I left out Dangerfield and Selwood. So that kind of probably sums it up. And I would be missing more. So, you know, the chance that all Geelong players through that time and, well, just they're going to continually drag the good players in because how they do things. But, you know, so absolutely privileged to learn through that. And then you go to Port Adelaide, and there's a reason why they shot to the top as well. You know, they had young stars coming through the bottom. You got Charlie Dixon, absolute A grader, and then you've got the Hall of Fame types and you know, Brad Ebert, you know, Justin Westhoff, Robbie Gray, Travis Boak, etc. So, you know, these are names, and to think, you know, I'm rubbing shoulders day to day. You know, I'm getting to learn a lot. So, absolutely privileged, and I've learned so much through that time for sure.
Are you finding that you're following these teams or even the AFL now that you're out, or does it feel weird now that you're out of the system watching sort of games on TV?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely kind of, you know, well, I'd say my enjoyment for footy is back to where it was probably pre-career. Like, you just become a footy nut again. You love watching footy and just following it, and you just for the love of the game. Obviously, you know, it's pretty well known that players don't always love their footy when it's their career, because other things can get in the way. You know, it's more than just kicking the footy around on the weekend. I guess there's a lot more to it, and now stepping back and footy just being, you know, well, it's still important to me. I'm still playing high level footy in the VFL, but you know, I've got to balance full time work, a bit of uni with that as well. So it's not the be all and end all, and you kind of just see it from the footy fanatic side again, and absolutely loving it and keeping a close eye on Geelong and Port Adelaide, and just questioning why Geelong would ever get rid of me so it could get Jeremy Cameron. I just, you know, you know, you know, so, you know, you see how everything falls into place, and you know, you think that one day you could turn into these type of players, but there's just so many good players around. So there's no no shame in falling back to the VFL and playing at a really high standard of footy still. Yeah,
for sure. We see you don't mind to dress up for Mad Monday and other occasions. Where's Wally? A giraffe on your Instagram, saw that. Ben Brown, you went as one year, and The Bachelor with a few other boys. Are there any other wacky costumes that we've missed?
No, I probably don't want to share too many more, mate. There'd be a couple floating around if people who know me that, you know, I'd probably prefer they kind of stay hidden, but who knows, you know, if you have some intelligent followers, they might be able to find some pretty wacky stuff that, yeah, probably wouldn't be good in the footy group chat or something like that. So, but yeah, it's always nice that Geelong obviously get right around that wacky Wednesday and Mad Monday kind of stuff. So, yeah, it's always some good fun. And you know, that first year I was the Bachelor with Dangerfield, Scott Selwood. That was a good day.
Yeah, well, you're definitely right. Geelong do it best, but you know at Werribee, how's the season going? And you still have aspirations to get back in the AFL, because your name wasn't read out at the mid-season draft, but you were one of the most talked about players in that draft.
Yeah, I'll start by just saying I've had a fantastic time at Werribee so far. That stepping into that standalone, non-aligned VFL program, you see the challenges that they face compared to those AFL aligned clubs. Such a limited amount of time and resources compared to those guys. So it puts a massive importance on culture and getting the most out of what you have. And you know, there's absolutely no time for egos or people thinking that they're better than the team. So it's just a fantastic club to go to. That the stuff they do in the community is fantastic. It represents the whole wider western suburbs of Melbourne. So I'm really enjoying my time there. Got some fantastic leaders, and hopefully, we can play some good footy as well. We've had some terrible losses that we're not proud of, but we've had some fantastic wins as well. So I think we're building in the right direction, and we've got a lot of good players. That I think can take us to some success, and then probably to your point, have I kind of given up on that dream? Probably no, I haven't. I'm really enjoying playing for Werribee, put my best foot forward, and I'd love another crack at the top level. I think I've got what it takes to get there, and as you will probably touched on at the start, around my name and the attention that I got was probably more than the next person. And then for my name not to get called out, I don't know what that looks like on me, but it is kind of annoying that you got the attention and it didn't happen. You kind of look like a bit of a dill, but it's not like I was generating that media interest. It was just as I was saying, rolling with those punches, and I don't know. Hopefully, next time I have a bit better luck.
Yeah, Mick Barlow is coaching at Werribee, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah. We had him on last year. It's good fun.
Okay, yeah. What was said there? I should have had a quick listen.
It's a fair while back. I can't remember, but pretty much we just touched on everything. He's I think there was a few Q&As, funny Q&As sent in. And he always sends in Q&As himself as well, and just heaps of them, just stuff that he's happened. So.
Yeah, it sounds about right with Mick. Yeah, he loves to just throw an alternate question in there. Does it all the time in meetings. So, and then just wraps it all up by saying, and that's the size of it. Every time, every meeting ends with, that's about the size of it.
Yeah. What have been some of the things you're getting up to lately in terms of off the field? Obviously, you said you starting at uni. I think you're doing business. So that must keep you pretty busy. And you and your partner, you seem pretty active, always out with the dog.
Yeah, always out with the dog, mate. He's a little legend. So no matter what day you kind of having, he's always wagging his tail and wants to have a play and a walk. So it's a good leveler. It reminds you nothing's ever as good as it seems or bad as it seems. So it's just nice. Try to stay super active at least. With my partner and the dog, and try and keep it simple. And I guess outside of footy and part-time uni, working full-time, it is a pretty full plate at the moment, but it's something that I've just got to get used to, and probably just don't have that privilege of time that you have on an AFL list, but it's not like it's just different. It's not harder, I'd say. It's just different. So I'm enjoying the fresh challenge for sure.
Yeah.
We'll move on to the Instagram Q&As. We've got a couple here sent in. First one here from James Stein officially. What's it like to have the best and most fabulous, fantastic brother-in-law in the world?
Not surprised to hear that come through. Yeah, that's actually my brother's husband, who it's a Sydney sider. It is nice. He's a fantastic lad, and it'd be nice to see him a bit more often. We're probably a bit isolated at the moment, being in Victoria, whether we have our COVID challenges or Sydney or Queensland or whoever's having it at the time. It's hard to see each other. So it is nice, and look forward to catching up with him.
Okay, this one's from Daniel Mills. How does it feel to be the greatest player to ever step foot onto an AFL ground?
Young Daniel always tagging me in Instagram stuff, created meme accounts, etc. So thanks for the support, mate. But yeah, it would be nice to get on an AFL ground again for you, mate.
Yeah.
Is he a fan, or do you know him?
No, I don't actually know him. So
right.
never actually met the man, or I hope not. I hope I'm not insulting him and forgotten. But yeah, just an out and out supporter. So thanks, mate.
There was plenty of Wylie Buzza fan pages as well. I don't think any of them are still active, but
he caught on there for a bit. Just wherever you looked, it was as you'd know, mate. Just young boys with too much time on their hands, just running amok. So
and the Cats Central asks, did you enjoy your work in the Cats community?
Yeah, as I just touched on with the Werribee community stuff, and it's the same with Geelong, and it's why they continue to be a great club. Their only regional team in the AFL left. All the rest are metropolitan, so we get to cover a really broad area, and the whole community is right behind the Geelong Cats. So the support they give us, walking around in Geelong, you're well and truly looked after, and it's great to have such an impact on the community, and it's just got to kind of weigh up what you have to put into it to give someone else satisfaction. So it doesn't take much time out of my day to say g'day, or to go to a footy clinic, or kick a footy with a young bloke. Something really little from my end means a massive difference on the other end. So I absolutely enjoyed my time doing that stuff. Yeah,
nice. This one's from Port 0_4. Any coaches sprays from Ken Hinkley or Scotty?
Even though Scotty looks super intimidating, he never has much of a spray on the players. He's actually kind of really measured and will just remove himself from the situation until he's controlled. So none from Scotty. Ken, I never actually got to play under Ken, but the one somewhat official game I got to play in Port Adelaide colours was the under 23s match against the Crows early in the year there, and just a practice match, and me, Sam Mays, and someone else did something against the coach's orders, and he wasn't even coach, and came on and let us know about it and pulled us aside. So yeah, that was actually not bad considering practice match, and he wasn't coach, and still had an impact. So
right. What did he say?
We were meant to go into red time, so we'd just been doing lots of it, lots of work on what do we do in the last couple minutes of quarters, or if we call red time, and slowing it down. And Sam Mays tried to kick a ball around the corner to me. I actually picked up a ground ball for once instead of running over it, and instead of taking it over the line, I've gone over the backhand ball like that. So yeah, he came over and just swear word after swear word, really, mate. Just one of those intimidating ones. Yeah. And you don't really have a leg to stand on when he just said, "Why don't you take it over the line?" You go, "Yeah, well, I should have." So you just have to cop it.
Yeah, nothing much you can do.
Yeah, next one here, Ellie Gray. How do you stay motivated to train? Love time fan Ellie, and any hidden talents?
Stay motivated, was it? How do I stay motivated?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just always good fun, mate. So motivation doesn't take much. It's easier to exercise with 40 other blokes than it is by yourself. So it's just good fun to challenge yourself and be better. And I love to win. I'm competitive, so that's a quick way to staying motivated. So was there a back end to that question?
Any hidden talents?
Any hidden talents? No, Ellie, no hidden talents.
Okay, this one's from Emily Nunn. What's it like being a badass?
Badass. Geez, I wouldn't think it's not something I would get often. No, it's not what people would probably refer to me as, but I appreciate that, Emily. I enjoy my life, so yeah, it's good fun being a badass, obviously.
Yeah. We got our last one that's come through, last 20 minutes or so. Annabelle Squires. Not sure if we're going to reveal here, but when are you going to propose to Sezzy?
Geez, that's probably there's every chance my partner's probably messaged every friend of hers to ask that question.
Yeah.
So one's actually come through with the goods. Yeah, one day when it's right. You don't want to rush these things, so just, it has been a good few years, mate, and she's been through a bit, but patience.
Yeah.
Patience is
Yeah, well, she seems kind enough to lend you a Zoom account for the podcast
Yes,
today,
yeah.
so that's definitely a good reason.
Yeah,
But,
jumped on her computer.
Yeah. Wylie, it's been a pleasure to get to know you and talk about your journey as well as having a few laughs along the way. Can't wait to see what the future brings, and all the best.
Thanks for having me, fellas. It was great fun. Cheers.
Thanks. Ethan, to you as always during lockdown. We'll be back next week, hopefully in a studio where we can get outside.
Fingers crossed. It was fun on Zoom, but fingers crossed studio gets back.
All right, we'll see you guys then.